on Genesis. I'm your host with 10 with Jen, and I'm here with Mr. Tommy Wade. You want to introduce yourself?
Well, I'm glad to be here. Yes, I'm Tommy Wade. I'm from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and I'm excited about being here.
Okay. So Mr. Tommy Wade here is a former basketball star at HSS. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basketball's been my life. Yes, I graduated from Hopkinsville in 1974, a long time ago. Started at Hopkinsville High School. Was all district, all region, all state. So very fortunate. Played with some really good players at Hoptown. So I'm a proud graduate of Hopkinsville High School.
That's nice. So you started at Hopkinsville High School. It led you to the course of Murray State. How was that transition?
Yeah, my whole life as a kid, my goal was to get a college scholarship and put a lot of time on the court. Obviously over here where the old Hopkinsville High School used to be, the old gym used to be over here. Many hours in there with in the summers when it was really hot and sweaty, the outdoor courts of Hopkinsville, learned to play there. So I became a really good basketball player because of Hopkinsville, playing the good competition at Hopkinsville. Had a really good high school career, and it led to a Division I scholarship to Murray State.
That's nice. So you've been playing basketball all your life. When did basketball not just become a game to you? Like, is it like a lifestyle, or is it?
Oh no, it's been a lifestyle. I mean, I just retired back in November. 40 years of coaching. Before that, obviously, was a player, high school, college, professionally, overseas. But it all started here in Hopkinsville. My roots are here. I started playing basketball when I was about 5 years old. I had a basketball court in my backyard, and then went to every playground around Hopkinsville back in the day to try to find players and competition. And so, yes, my passion, my love for the game all started right here in Hopkinsville.
Okay, it all started here. So you played at HSS. Was there any game that stuck out to you that you remember the most?
Well, back then there's always the rivalry with Hopkinsville and Christian County. And, those games were, if the game was at Hoptown High or at Christian County High, it was jam-packed. You couldn't get another person in there to watch the game. So always the rival games. I think always the games against Christian County were always the most intense. Mm-hmm. But you know what? How I approached every game was a big game for me. And, when you're in high school, you only play a certain amount of games. So I tried to make the best of every game. But obviously the big games were the local games against the Colonels.
Yes, we still get very excited for the rival games, especially football. Basketball, we get excited too. What's one lesson you learned from playing basketball, either here at Hopkinsville or at Murray State, just something that you carry with you?
Well, I think it carries on in life is teamwork. Mm-hmm. Whatever you do in life. I mean, if you're in business, if you're in athletics, if you're in education, you got to learn to share. You got to learn to be a good communicator. You got to learn to do things together as a team. And I think being in athletics my whole life, as a youngster, all the way to now, at the end of my career, being able to be a good teammate. Mm-hmm. And I think that was something that I really took a lot of pride in. And I think I learned that at an early age. When I played my first really competitive basketball and on a team was at the elementary school level, and I went to Virginia Street Elementary, which is no longer a school here. But I learned then you got to be a good teammate, and I think that's carried over my whole basketball career in my life, as being a good teammate in all aspects.
Nice. So how was it switching from being a player to being a coach?
Great question. Basketball again has been my life. It's like I've had tunnel vision. Mm-hmm. As a kid, my goal was to play as an elementary player. I wanted to play in the middle school, and as a middle school, I wanted to play on the high school. And I was always very good for my age, so I always got moved up. When I was an 8th grader, I got to play on the JV and varsity. Mm-hmm. So I think just each step, I learned to be a better player. I learned to be, I saw what I had to do to become a better player. I always wanted to play against older, bigger, stronger, better players. And I think that helped me through the progression of a high school player, and then on at the Division I level as a college player, and then on at the professional level playing professionally overseas. So I think just the progression, but the thing I love about our hometown, we're all here from Hopkinsville, it was always very competitive. And there, as you guys know, there's been a lot of great athletes that come out of Hopkinsville. And I was fortunate that I was taught at a young age by some really good players, older guys, and helped me through the ropes of becoming a good competitive basketball player.
Nice. So, shoot, sorry, I just forgot the question. How was your experience as a player help you
As a coach? Yeah, and I really didn't answer the question. Now you're asking me again.
It's okay. No, I was just saying, like, how'd your experience as a player like help you like develop a coaching?
Well, I think that's a great question. I mean, I've coached at a lot of programs. I've coached at all levels, and I've been around really good coaches. And so every coach has a different philosophy of how they want to play, how they want to recruit. And I think from my playing days, around good players, and then I think it just carried over into coaching. I always wanted to coach. My passion when I was in middle school and high school is when my basketball career is over, I wanted to get in coaching. So I love teaching. And in basketball, it was like my classroom, because you teach. You're always teaching. You teach the fundamentals. You teach players to be competitive. And I think as a player, I learned a lot from all the coaches that I played for. And then when I got into coaching at a young age, just learning things from every coach. And I've learned it for 40 years. So, I think it was being a good player doesn't always make you a good coach. But I was a player, and as a coach, that I went to camps. I went to clinics. I wanted to learn. And so I was one of those coaches that was always asking questions, how to do things the better way, different kind of drills. And I think, but it all started as a player. So it carried over in my coaching career, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think if I had to do over again, I would be doing the same thing. I love coaching, but more important, I love teaching. And even more important, I love being around young people and help them to develop and to reach their goals if they wanted to play at the next level. As a coach, I wanted to prepare them, and I gave them a lot of preparation from my experience of what it took for me to get to that level.
So you just didn't mind asking questions, learning,
Always.
You were a player.
Always. I mean, when I was a player, and I would ask my college coach, always, and he always took time to show me and to teach me. And more important, when I would ask him questions and would ask, why are we doing it this way? Or why do we do this drill this way? He always had great answers for me that made me understand the game better. And I think that I carried that over when I was coaching, because I wanted players to understand their role as a player, their role on this team, and their role to become a better player. So again, I think when it's your passion and you want to be the best that you can be as a player and as a coach, and I put a lot of time into it, watched a lot of film, listened to a lot of coaches at clinics, and I think just absorbing the game helped me become a better teacher and a better coach.
So you didn't just play it, you learned it, you practiced it, and then now you teach other people.
That's the progression, exactly what you said. You play it, you learn it, and then you're always trying to improve it. And that's kind of the philosophy that I took. Obviously, every coach that I worked for had a different philosophy. Some coaches wanted to press and play fast. Other coaches wanted to play more of a slow down style of play. So when I was an assistant coach, I had to adjust to that. And it helped me become a better coach because I learned a lot of different philosophies. I learned a lot of different systems of there's no right way and no wrong way. But every coach has a different philosophy, how they want to play, how they want to teach, and how they want to recruit. And it helped me to be able to be a better coach and a better recruiter when I've had to do that. So yes, I think I took it all in. I was like a sponge. I always wanted to learn, and it helped me become a better coach.
That's good. As a player, did you ever have like a lot of pressure on you just always playing basketball all your life? Like, was it hard juggling school?
There's always pressure. Because if you don't get the outside pressure from being a competitor, you want to be the best that you can be, and you want to win every game. And if you don't have that competitive spirit, you shouldn't even play. So there was pressure and then there's pressure you put on yourself. Maybe not from the outside, maybe not from your family, but you want to be your best. So I tried to prepare myself the best way possible. I tried to do the right things on and off the court, with rest, with my diet, with how I lived. All those things matter to become a better player. But there's always pressure. There was pressure in high school, there was pressure in college, there was pressure as a pro, and then even more pressure as a coach. Because as we all know, you have to win. And coaches don't win, they get fired. And now it's even more competitive because of the landscape of college basketball. Administration expects you to win now. So there's always pressure. So yes, I've always embraced pressure. You want pressure. You want to be in a program that expects to win and wants to win. So that's added pressure. But I think I embraced it. But even in high school, before every game, you're always nervous. I mean, I don't care how, and you can talk to anybody that's ever played the game, and even in the NBA level. Before every game, you're nervous. If somebody said, "Oh man, those nerves don't bother me," they're not telling you the truth, because if you're not nervous, you don't care. And if you're not nervous, there's no pressure. So yes, there's pressure as a player, but I embraced it, and I think I handled it pretty well. But there's always pressure to even do better.
Okay. So the pressure helped you become a better player because
absolutely.
It pushed you.
Absolutely. I mean, because when there's pressure, people do care. And if you're out playing the intramurals, nobody cares. When the game's over, you go home. Nobody matters if you win or lose. But when you are playing on a competitive high school level or a competitive college level or at the pro level, there's pressure to win. And so as a player and as a coach, you better have tough skin, because there's always a lot of outside influence. There's always negativity, especially now with social media, where so many people can criticize coaches or criticize players. And as a player or as a coach, you got to tune that noise out. Because if you let that bother you, then you're not going to be successful. So it comes with the territory. Pressure comes with the territory. And I think that I've handled it and been in programs that handled it, because it's part of it. It's part of being a coach. It's part of being a player. And you have to handle it, and you have to handle it in a positive way.
Yeah, there's no way to get past pressure, just how you handle it. That's important.
Absolutely. When you go to the free throw line, you're down 1 point, there's 1 second on the clock, and you got to make 2 free throws to win. That's a lot of pressure too. And I embraced that as a player. As a player, I wanted the ball when the game was on the line. You don't always make the right play. You don't always make the winning shot. But you, as a competitor, you want that pressure on you, because that's part of becoming a good player. You want the ball in your hands when the game's on the line. And that's how I approached it as a player in college and in high school, and as a pro, I embraced that.
Okay. How do you teach your not students, your team members on how to deal with the pressure?
Well, I think the first thing you do is, in practice every day, you make practice very competitive. You're just not out there doing drills. When you're doing drills, it's competitive. You keep score in drills. Teams that win, teams that lose, there's consequences when you lose. Maybe you have to run an extra sprint, or you have to do a push-up or whatever. So I think when you're in practice, you try to make it as game-like as possible. We would have 4-minute games. We would have special situations where you might be down 1 point and there's 8 seconds to go, and the coach has to call a play and the players have to execute it. That's pressure. So you try to, as in practice as a coach, you try to simulate that for your team. So then when it comes game time, They understand what pressure is. They've done that in practice before. Now, they might not always hit the winning shot. They might, but as a coach, you want them to execute the play, and you want them to know, again, being a competitive drill and making it as game-like as possible, it does carry on in a game.
Okay. So back to Hopkinsville, that's just been a deep-rooted thing in your past. How do you stay connected to the community?
Another great question. I was born here. My mom and dad were born here. My mom and dad had a very successful business in downtown Hopkinsville for 45 years. I still have a home here, even though I haven't actually lived in Hopkinsville in a long, long, long time because of my coaching career. I've lived in 5 different states. I've coached at a lot of different universities, but this is my roots, and this is home. And I still have a lot of friends here. And so I still have a home here. And I think over the years, just coming back home here always keeps you grounded. You know where your roots are from. You know this is home. And that's important to me. It's been important to me my whole life. It was important to me to keep my mom and dad's home here, even when I've been away. But anytime I've had downtime, I've had vacation, I've always come home. Because coming home always does my soul good. It always does me good to come home and spend time with my friends. Some of my former teammates that I played with in high school. So this is home. I'm proud to be from Hopkinsville. And I think I couldn't pick a better place to have actually grown up. And since we're in this building here, my grandmother lived on Central Avenue, which we're a part of Central Avenue here. And so as a youngster, I spent a lot of Friday nights at her house coming to football games right here at the football stadium. So this part of Hopkinsville is very near and dear to me because I grew up half the time living over here in this neighborhood. But again, I love Hopkinsville, and that's why I'm here. And I've retired now, so will I live in Hopkinsville full time? No, but I still have a home here, and this will always be home for me, and I love coming back here.
Okay, just one last question to wrap it up. For future athletes coming out of Hopkinsville, what your advice be to them?
Well, again, I think when I first came into town last week, I've been living in Alabama for the last 9 years, but when I rolled into town, I always come down Walnut Street. And I do because I always look over at the outdoor courts and see if there's kids over there playing. Well, when I rode into town last Thursday night, there was kids out there playing. I pulled in here and I just sit there and watched them play. And so, but again, to answer your question, there's second graders out there playing. That's where it starts. So my advice to these young kids is there's no magic wand that anybody can put a magic wand over their head and make them a player. If you want to be good at any sport, you have to put in the time. The greatest players ever, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, the LeBron James, the Steph Currys, they lived in the gym. And that's what it takes. Again, kids want to play during basketball season. And now it's such a competitive sport. You have to be good at any sport, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. There's so many good players everywhere, not just in Hopkinsville, all over the country, and even more so all over the world. Look at the NBA now. It has become such a global game. Every team in the NBA has international players. My point is, the question you asked me, if you want to be good, you got to put the time in. You've got to dedicate yourself. Obviously, you have to have passion for the game, but you have to put in the time. You have to keep a basketball in your hand pretty much year round. And it makes me feel good when I come back home and I see kids on the outdoor courts that are putting in the time to become a better player. And then as they progress in their skills, and again, we all know this about Hopkinsville. Hopkinsville has produced many, many, many good athletes over the years, and Hopkinsville's produced many, many, many good basketball players. There's several basketball players come from Hopkinsville that have played in the NBA. But it all started at a young age, and they all were dedicated, and they all put the time in to become the players that they become. There is no shortcut. So it's dedication, it's hard work, it's discipline, and it's a commitment if you want to be great.
Okay, well, this was 10 with Jen. I'd like to thank Mr. Tony Wade for coming on. It was nice to have you and share your experience and your thoughts.
Well, it's a real pleasure. Again, I love my home. It's been a real treat to meet with you and talk with you today, and thank you very much.